It should slide back in. Oh, slosh, yeah. This pot is obviously still full of diesel. Today we're going to be finishing off the servicing on this 3 litre TDI Porsche Cayenne 958. This one's a 2013 model. These 3 litre V6 diesels are found in lots of different VAG vehicles, for example Audi Q7 or Volkswagen Touareg. So while the Cayenne might look a little bit different, if you've got the same 3 litre TDI vehicle, you will find a lot of the stuff in this guide applies to you as well. In the previous servicing video you saw of me working on this Cayenne 958, I did the faffiest oil change in my entire history of changing oil, thanks to the fact the car wouldn't confirm the oil level for me. I had an issue with the leaking sump plug that required a very specific washer, and also I had to reset the service interval with a special diagnostic tool. Let's hope changing the filters on this car are much more straightforward than the oil service. How hard can it be, right? We're about to find out. I think we're going to start off with the air filter. Just get a good, early, easy, quick win in, and then we can move on to the fuel and the cabin filter. Let's get started. These are the parts I've gone with to do this filter service today. We've got a Febby fuel filter, a Bosch cabin filter, went for a carbon activated one, and also a Wix air filter. You'll see these in more detail as we go through with the service, but let's start by cracking open this Wix filter. Not a brand I've used before. Quality looks good. Interestingly, it's got an extra foam filtration panel on it. Quite a big old filter, that. So yeah, at a glance, looks like the right kind of thing. Let's pop the bonnet open and make sure the one that comes out matches it. So the air filter actually lives in this air box down here. So to get access to that, we're going to need to remove the vanity cover, including the coolant cover, and probably also the engine cover, just to give us the maximum access possible into this area. The vanity covers are held on by these little plastic clips. We've got 1, 2, 3, just 3 for this side one, but you're going to want to remove the lid for the washer bottle. Pull the centre of the clip up, and then the whole thing should come out just like that. There we go. So now we've got the full view of this huge airbox, and it goes quite far down. I think I'm just going to pop off the engine cover, which is on 4 rubber bungs. Don't lose the bungs down into the valley, because you'll never recover them. So you can see one's remaining there. That's what they look like. So to access the filter, it's hinged at the bottom, and there's 2 clips at the top. So we can just pull this over, and we can see our old filter. Is there enough room to sneak this out? Yes, there is. Just. Okay. Well, I've seen much worse filters. You know what, looking a little bit closer at it, yeah, it's dirtier than first met the eye. Seems to be around the bottom, it's dirtier than around the top. So, good news that we're switching it. There's a few bits of hay down there, but actually inside this airbox is looking pretty damn good. I'll give it a wipe out and I'll run the vac round in there. it's a match. This new filter actually seems nice, high quality versus the old one with this extra foam filtration. Maybe it's just a gimmick, who knows. Should slide back in. Careful not to snag it up. Perfect, so we've had a nice little early win in that air filter. The next thing we're going to turn our attention to is the fuel filter, which actually lives under here. Conveniently, we've got this side of the vanity cover already removed, which is why we'll do this next. It's held on by just an assortment of 5 T20 screws. Inside this pot will be full of diesel, and that's where the filter lives. Before we take the lid off this, let's go and have a look at the new filter. So here's the filter I got, a Febby Bilstein one, and you'll also need these two tools. It's like a big pipette. We'll need that to draw some of the diesel out of that pot to put the new filter in, and of course we'll need that T20 Torx driver to put those screws in at the top. So part number 101319, obviously everything I'm using in this video, you'll find it linked in the description to the exact parts, so you can't go wrong. Big old fuel filter this. You often see them with different colour rubber seals around the top. Normally they're either orange or blue. I don't know why this one's green. Looks right at a glance. Let's go and take that lid off. See if it matches the filter that's already sat in there. So just put some towel down there just to catch the inevitable diesel, which goes everywhere as soon as you do anything with diesel. I'm also going to pop off this little breather line for the coolant reservoir. Just see if I can just tuck it to one side, or at least it's now out of the way of that Torx screw. And hopefully these aren't in so tight I can't do them with the driver. Now we're good. Check they all move first. There's 5. Great. Before I go any further, I'm going to glove up diesel. It makes your hands tingle. Horrible. Also, it stinks for days. Right. Not magnetic. Should have known that. That's why they're not rusty. Oh, slosh, yeah. Right, brimming with diesel, brimming. Oh God, right. Tuck that over there, hopefully it'll stay put. Right, now I need that baster, well, the pipette, whatever I was calling it. Might take a while, this. That's it, you just need to take your patience with drawing it in, getting the technique. Still getting everywhere though. Diesel, always the way. Right. Right, let's see if I can lift this filter out and put it in the bag that the new one came in without getting diesel absolutely everywhere. It's obviously, this pot is obviously still full of diesel. Right. So as you can see, the old filter was really ready to be changed. It's looking quite black, really relatively surprising, because I'm not aware of any cheap fuel that's been put through it, but maybe in the past. The new one, nice and bright, looks identical, so I think despite the different coloured tops and this one being black, which is unexpected, it is definitely the same part, so I'm happy to replace this filter with this new one. The diesel that I drew out earlier looks really clean as well, so I'm going to use that to help me prime this new filter. It's worth noting that on these 3 litre TDI engines, it's absolutely critical that you do replace these fuel filters regularly, every 10 to 20,000 miles, because of the type of high pressure fuel pump they have. If they get any crap running through them, or any low quality diesel with particles in it or anything like that running through it, can damage that fuel pump, which then puts metal shards into the fuel system that then blocks the injectors. When that happens and the fuel pump fails, you have to strip the entire fuel system down, get it all cleaned out, or more likely replaced, because you'll never get all the metal glitter out of it. So it's definitely worth switching the filter. The good news is this is actually a surprisingly easy fuel filter swap, so unless something goes wrong from here, it's going to go pretty smooth. And you'll see this little pipe in the middle of the lid pushes in to that hole. There we go. And now I'm just removing the towel just to make sure I haven't got any of that towel trapped in the gap for the lid, because that will give us an unwanted leak later on. Quick light round just to make sure. Right, it's looking ready for us to put our screws back. They definitely don't want over torquing, so I think just a driver like this is probably a good idea. Perfect, I'd say they're about exactly the same as they came off. So next thing to do is check it doesn't leak. To do that, I'm going to get the fuel pump to prime without starting it. Before I do that, I'll just have a quick wipe around. I think 5 Newton meters is what it says on this lid. Strangely, it seems to say 5 plus or minus 1, so around 5. Who knows if I've done them to 5, but I've done them. But having given it a wipe round, I'll know if there's any diesel seeping out of it, it will be because we do have a leak. So that's why I'm just wiping it first, just to get rid of any spills. I've actually got a Launch X431 Pro, which has bi-directional control, a diagnostic scanner, and on that scanner there is an option to just set the fuel pump going on test. Instead of doing that, it might come to it, I'm just going to stick the key in the ignition and listen for the fuel pump priming itself. Hopefully that's going to be enough. What I'm not going to do is try and start the car immediately. As I mentioned to you earlier, these high pressure fuel pumps are quite temperamental and they're a known problem. You're best off just being as gentle with it as possible and making sure it's not going to run dry at any time. The diesel is actually the thing, is a lubricant, and it actually lubricates the pump as it's pumping. Making some very strange noises. Noises that seem a bit different. Maybe that's the air coming out of the system. Not totally convinced I can hear the fuel pump clear. I've decided I'm not going to take any chances. I am going to crack the launch out, use its bi-directional functionality to prime that fuel pump. Then I'll know I've done everything I need to protect that pump. I've done a whole other video about this tool. It's actually really impressive. So if you're interested in that, head back and watch that video. I'll link that in the description too. So I'm going to go into DME, engine electronics, actuation test, all. Let's look for activation of fuel pump electronics. Perfect. Actuate. I can hear it. I can hear some sloshing as well. Let's do it a couple of times. Definitely some funny noises. I think it's bleeding all the air out. The sloshing noises have died down. Brilliant. This tool really is excellent. Right. Okay. Happy days. Let's see if this car starts. Right, you're joining me on a different day. I ran out of time, so the observant of you will notice I've had a haircut. So we're now doing the panel filter, which is the final thing we need to change on this service. The car's been running great since changing the fuel filter. Theoretically, it should be underneath this glove box on this passenger side. Now, I have had a quick look to find out whereabouts this cabin filter is, but there's a confusion between left-hand drive and right-hand drive cars, so it might actually be under the steering wheel on this car, but I'm about to find out. Okay, this is looking very promising in the passenger side on a right-hand drive car. So we've got one Torx screw here, which is a T20, so that's why I've got this. And once we've done that, I'm going to need to pry this panel downwards gently, and then it should slot away. Then I'll be able to see some kind of pipe work under there that I need to pull out. Then we can see the enclosure for the panel filter in theory. Let's hope it all goes to plan. I'm having flashbacks to the cabin filter that I changed on a Volvo V50, which required absolute contortionism. So let's hope this is not one of those. Perfect. I'm going to want to pull these two connectors off so that I can remove this tray altogether. Just push the tab in and pull, hopefully. Great. So now we've got this air distribution pipe, strange shaped thing in the way, which should pull down with a little bit of prizing. And then we need to unhook this as well. Guessing that's a temperature sensor. Okay, so this is the lid for the cabin filter box that I was describing. So it hooks onto a tab on this side, and then this end pushes up and it clips onto a tab on this side. This long clip is apparently very brittle, and to be honest, it does look brittle. So I was really careful with it because these are commonly snapped off. When you snap it off, you probably need to buy another one, and it'll really get in the way of you finishing this service. So be really gentle with this. Put the foam gasket back on, get this out of the way. So now we're going to try and pull out the old cabin filter, which I can see. Okay, perfect. So it's very worth noting the airflow direction for this filter, because these have a specific way around they need to go, and my understanding was you need it so the airflow is pointing towards the front end of the car, which is slightly counterintuitive, but that's the way it needs to go around. This one was installed that way, and according to what I'd read online, that's correct. So I'm going to replicate that with the new one that I put in. Looking at this filter, there's actually quite a bit of crap in there, so this is definitely worth changing to have a clean cabin. Right, so now we'll just confirm that the new cabin filter matches and it's the right size. I've gone for a Bosch R5512. Again, I'll make sure it's linked in the description. Spot on, it's the same one. You may say it already looks dirty, but this one's a carbon activated one, which should help remove odours coming into the cabin. So that's why I picked that. It's a bit of an upgrade, really. So we can see airflow that way. So I need to slot this into that box upwards like that. Let's see if we can get it in. Just had a look up in there and it all looks relatively clean. There's just a little bit of dust, so before I fit my new filter, I'm just going to give it a good wipe out and just make sure I've got all that dust out of there. Well, that concludes the filter service on this Porsche Cayenne. If that's been useful to you, please make sure you leave me a like. And the next thing that I'd be coming to would be the gearbox service. Might do that in the very near future. It's the only thing really that's playing on my mind servicing wise. But yeah, make sure you subscribe for that. Thank you very much for watching.